Tonight is May 19th, 2022. Got the year right this time. 6:30. And this is the Webster Planning Board monthly meeting for May. Let's take attendance.
Susan Youngs?
Craig Fournier.
Paul King.
Marlo Herrick.
Okay, we have 4 people. We have a quorum here tonight. Okay, let's first start off with this driveway application for Robert Walensky, which we have here. So this is for his first or his second?
It's for the second driveway.
Second driveway. Have you looked at it, Paul?
I looked at the first one, but I did not go look at the second one because it was illegal.
Okay.
Because we turned him down, and for some reason or other, he did it anyway.
So what do you think we should do?
So hold on, so what happened exactly? Because his first drive would have been approved a couple of years
His
ago,
first driveway was approved.
like 2 or 3 years ago, right? 'Cause
Yes.
he's lived there that long,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
All right,
And then he applied for a second driveway, which means you have to have 500 feet of road frontage to get a second curb cut, driveway, whatever you want to call it. And he does not have that much road frontage. So we turned him down, told him he couldn't do it, but he did it anyway.
When did you do that?
when did you turn him down? That's what she's asking.
Because we have this, oh, I'm so, never mind. I think I'm on the wrong.
It had to be 3 or 4 months ago, we turned him down.
Yeah, it was the beginning of the year, it was like January,
Yep.
really early in the year.
Okay, but we don't have the material from
And
that
what
one.
did you give
Well,
him
this
for a
is
denial?
the application.
This is the
Because
new
he
one.
Part of the problem
No,
was
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
for
no,
the
I
new
just
one.
want to know what he got
For
in
the
writing for
second
a
driveway,
denial.
which
he
is
didn't get it
illegal.
in writing because he had COVID at the time. Then he
Right.
came to the office and then I
I
told
don't
him
know.
that it
That's
did
what-
Well, that's what they're saying.
And that was the
This is
denial.
for the second
Yeah.
driveway.
But that's why I was
So
bringing
We
it
don't
in
have the
today.
first driveway application.
Hold on,
Not
sorry.
here, not here. But on the map here, you see,
Susan.
this is the first one, which has been approved.
Yep, existing.
And then this
yep.
is the one that's under question.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because he's been there for 2, 3 years now, right?
Yep.
So when he wanted the second driveway, he filled in an application, and you and Emmett denied it because there's not enough road frontage between his first driveway.
Russell denied it. I don't know what Emmett did.
I mean, I don't deny driveway permits. That's the purview of the planning board.
Yeah,
And
okay. Well, then I denied it.
You denied it because there wasn't 500 feet between his
Yes.
first driveway and his second driveway.
Yeah, total frontage of his property
Has to be 500 feet.
has to be 500 feet. And it looks like he's only got 356 feet.
So, anybody have any suggestions about what we want to do here?
Well, I guess I realize there's this footage is part of the issue. But with that being said too, I would think that it would be the fact of, water, different, if they need a culvert or not, is part of the reason we issue driveway permits, correct, too? Site,
Yep.
is there a problem with, where the site is of it? I guess, I mean, I don't know what we have
Well-
for rights here to say or not to say. It looks to me, only because I drive by it every day, looks to me as so he can store his, he's got a cow trailer and a another small trailer, so. I guess I'm not sure why, when he was told that we denied it, why he would do it anyways, and I'm not sure that works out to the favor of
At this point,
somebody
I
else who's doing
can't
it.
tell you why he did that. But let me give you a little information before we do any voting on this.
Yes,
We have denied other people with 475 feet a second driveway because they don't have the 500.
mm-hmm,
Now, if we set a precedent, letting him have it, we're going to be opened up to a lot of different people wanting to come back and apply for it.
agreed,
Yeah. So we either got to stick with the rules or we got to change them.
yeah, gotcha. And more or less what happens next is he can then go in front of the ZBA. And what is the ZBA, so the ZBA
I'm
can,
not sure he can go in front of this.
Well, that would be the next step if the board decided to do a code enforcement action, would be to send him a letter stating that he has X amount of time to put in an application to either remove the driveway or put in an application to the ZBA, or it would be referred to the town attorney under the RSA that allows us to do zoning enforcement.
Yeah,
With costs to be borne by him, I see that.
Correct.
yeah.
So he
So-
can either remedy it, get a variance or a special exception, or.
So-
There's no agricultural exceptions, right?
I don't think so in our ordinance.
You know, if you have a farm.
I don't
Yeah.
think so. He doesn't have a farm that's
Well, he
five
has a-
acres.
well, he has a small one.
He
I'm
has a
just,
ga-
I'm
he
just,
has
right,
He has
Paul,
a
you know.
garden, maybe. No, but I
I
think,
said no.
I'm with Paul here.
Well, I
think
don't want to be a hard ass
Right.
about this, but, you know, as I say, if we tell him he can do this.
Right,
Then we're setting a precedent to anybody that wants to come in and have less than the 500 feet, they can do it.
Right, right. And it,
So
you
either
know,
we
for
gotta-
one, we gotta do it for one or for
Right.
everybody. And
No,
I'm with Paul. That's what the rules say. I mean,
right, even
Yep.
if you agree or don't disagree.
really, you gotta go with the rules. So,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, it would be, well, the fact that he knows he was denied and still did it,
Yeah.
to me, makes it particularly something
Agree-
we have to,
Egregious.
yeah, we
Well,
have
the-
to.
Like I said, the denial part's a little shaky because I was not in the office during this whole
Right.
event.
Oh.
So,
That's part of the
So-
problem.
so anyway, I'd like to make a motion. Is that okay?
Okay?
And I'm a motion, just what Russ said. We're gonna send a letter from the, do we send it from the town attorney or from?
From the planning board.
Planning board, saying that he doesn't have enough frontage for a second driveway, and that he can either remove the driveway or go before the zoning board in some time frame, right?
Yeah,
And get some remediation that way.
State his case as to why he wants a second driveway
Right.
with less than the amount of frontage.
Right,
And
And-
maybe they'll grant him and maybe they won't.
right.
But if they don't grant him, then I don't know where he goes from here. If we can make him take it out.
so
But if they do grant him,
denied it,
if they do grant
then he
him,
would
he's
have
got
to take it out, and if he didn't take it out, then it would go to court.
But if the zoning board does grant him the permission, they can put restrictions on it, or they'll come back to us and we'll put restrictions on it. They can only be used for certain things.
Well,
It's-
let's,
All kinds of ways around this, but
so,
But
does
I-
everybody understand my motion?
yes, I agree with you.
And
Send
do
it
we
to
have
the
a-
zoning board.
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
I'll-
oh, Paul does.
I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion on the matter? All in favor, raise your hand. 4-0.
Okay.
Okay, next item of business.
Can I just interrupt you for a second? Jerry, you got an opinion on this? I know you used to be on the planning board, doing driveways. You got any opinions on this?
Well, I'm too far removed from what the regulations are, I don't dare comment.
And I think, at the end of the day, we're following what they say. I mean,
Yep.
I think all of us sitting up here, nobody wants to deny somebody the second access to their land. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
somebody came up with these rules and regulations, and I think Craig made a good point that if we need to start adjusting them and changing them some, but it sure the heck wouldn't be fair to give it to him
Yeah.
and not give it to the guy, even up on,
It's one of those things, if you bring
Lake
that
Road.
down to 300 feet, somebody's gonna want one at 275
Yeah,
feet.
yeah.
exactly.
Well, but still, what I'm saying
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
it's not for us. I personally would say, I you know, but it's not, I didn't write the rules.
Right,
You
exactly.
didn't write, no, you know, you're just following them.
We're
Right.
just following those
That's
rules
right.
that have been set in place for a long, long time.
Yeah. So,
Okay. All right, item 5, preliminary conceptual consultation for Timothy Austin regarding subdivision lot 436 4-36 on Pond Hill Road.
Are they here? I did call
They're
them
not
like
here,
a week
so
ago,
I
they
don't
said
know how
they'd
we're
be
gonna
here.
talk about it.
Well, let's put that off and go on to
Okay.
the next item.
They
Uh,
might be here.
Subdivision 22-01 Monument. So there's a letter here from the land surveyor about this, but I'll give you the short version. And that is, Paul and I went out there. Well, the short version is that the regulations require, and it's highlighted in yellow here. Russ did a great job of highlighting. It says, if a boundary marker is required in the area of exposed ledge on above grade boulder large enough to be reasonably regarded as immovable with other than power equipment, a 1/2-inch diameter iron pin securely cemented to and projecting a minimum of 2 inches from a drilled hole, at least 1 inch deep, may be used in lieu of a granite monument. The pin must be marked with the license number and name of the surveyor. So the issue is that we require a granite monument on the roadside boundaries. And because it's on a stone wall with a large boulder, he drilled a drill hole, painted it, marked it, and he wants a variance from our zoning, our planning board requirements. So that's the version of what's happening. Are there any questions, comments?
Just give me a minute. This is in our own regulations.
Yep.
Yes.
Get this out of. It says here, if a boundary marker is required at a point that is inaccessible, underwater in the middle of a large tree trunk or unstable wall level, an offset marker is preferable by one. But, one more. The boundary marker is required in the area of exposed ledge above ground. The drilled hole, cemented into the projecting a minimum of 2 inches from the, above the ground with the surveyor's marker, and the hole has to be 1 inch deep. This is in our own regulations.
Yeah, right.
Regulations.
So what do you?
Now, what I'm saying is, I stopped and measured that, and the hole right at the moment is only approximately a 1/2 inch deep. So they need to make that hole deeper, and they have to put the rod in there with the surveyor's number, and they have to cement it in.
Okay.
This is in our own regulations.
Okay. I looked at the drill hole. It's in a big rock in the bottom of the stone wall. I think it's not going to move anywhere. I think that's okay.
Mhm.
But he didn't, as you correctly point out, it's not quite up to spec.
Right.
So, you want to make a motion? I mean, do you have a discussion or any other comments?
How complicated would it be for them to actually fulfill it, do it according to what's in the regulations?
Oh, we're talking a couple hours' work. I don't know what surveyors charge. Bunch of, some money, but if that gets borne by the lawyer.
Yep.
But it's in our regulations.
It
I
says
feel
it-
like that's what we just
Right.
upheld.
Yeah, and
We
it
just
says
upheld.
at least 1 inch, 1 inch.
Yeah, the problem is, they're saying it's not deep enough and they didn't mark it right.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But they're asking for an exception to that,
so
right?
Well,
let's,
no, they were asking to use that exception because of the boulder, but if they're gonna use it, they still have to
They
make
have-
sure it's deep
Go
enough
in.
and they put the mark on it.
right.
Yeah, if they want the exception, it has to be to the specs.
Yeah.
So, do you want to make a motion? Why don't you make a motion?
I guess I'll make the motion that we can approve the piece of rod going into that boulder, provided they meet the specs, which is the hole has to be 1 inch deep, and it has to be threaded, cemented in with the surveyor's marker on the top.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Just makes sense.
All in favor, raise your hand. Right, 4 to zip.
No, it's easy, yeah.
Okay, next item.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna make one person follow the rules, we're gonna make them all follow the rules.
Yeah, well, that's right. I mean,
I,
right, it's not a, if it were a super hardship,
you'd
I
think
mean,
about it, yes,
you
there's
think about it,
exceptions,
but
but, yeah.
the guy who owns that, Mr. DeBello, doesn't seem too concerned about money, to be honest with you. Not that it matters, I
Well,
mean,
or-
for the planning
or just-
board.
Trying to follow the same rules as everybody else,
Yeah,
that's all.
follow the same rules.
He's-
Okay.
He is still hoping he's gonna get a driveway permit, but so far, he hasn't got it yet.
Yeah, well, that's his problem. Okay, number 7, family cemeteries. Now, the issue here is, the cemetery commission, for example, Elizabeth Janeway, you know, they put a stone, Harold's buried by the stone there, and there's a monument on the stone. It's a family cemetery. And the question, I guess they got approval from,
I don't know where they got approval from. I wasn't around back then.
yeah, I don't know where they got approval from either. It never came before the
I
planning
think it
board.
went to the cemetery trustees. And Brenda said she was gonna try to make it in. And her take on it is this is something allowed by the state law. So that's why they allowed it the last time.
Well, yeah, I don't think we have any regulations that address this directly, whether you can or
No,
can't do
but I
it.
believe the
But-
state does.
Well, maybe.
And according to the state, it says they have to comply with local zoning regulations. And if there aren't any, then they just say, paragraph 1, it has to be, you know, it can't be within 100 feet of a dwelling, schoolhouse, etc. So, question is, did they follow that?
Yeah, I think that one's okay. But in my mind, the bigger issue is maintenance, you know. I mean, what happened, like Clough Sanborn Cemetery, that was a family cemetery. But you know, they all died off, they all moved away, and who maintains it? It's the town maintains it. You know, is the town gonna maintain the Harold Janeway Cemetery? I mean, it brings up another question of maintenance. Is there a perpetual fund to maintain this, or, I mean, what happens when an oak tree grows there, you know?
Or falls on it.
Falls on
There
it.
doesn't appear, though, to be anything that says it has to be maintained.
No, there isn't. I mean, but that's the issue in my mind.
It's on the land that is all gonna be part of it, they donated to Audubon?
Five River, well, I don't know, I think it's 5 Rivers Conservation.
I couldn't remember which
Yeah.
organization.
Well, they were involved in Audubon also.
Well, the reason I bring it up is I'm being asked by Abby Rockefeller, because they would like to put one in. And Abby's secretary asked, or a personal assistant, asked if it was allowed for our zoning ordinance, and I don't think there's anything in our zoning ordinance against
Right.
it.
I
It tells
think
them they can't,
To tell them they can't.
all right.
Right.
But I wanted to double check with the board before I grabbed somebody carte
Right.
blanche approval.
And I get what you're saying, but think about when you are doing our moseying out throughout our whole beautiful property that some is in conservation, some is people own. There's lots of old cemeteries that, you know, as long as the town's not liable to take care of it, I don't see how we can tell them they can't.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I
I mean, I get what you're saying too. You hate to see a situation where it's not being maintained, but that's kind of they know it going into it. The town's not gonna take it over and take care of it like they would a town cemetery.
Right. So-
Who would normally make regulations? Would it be the ZBA?
For this, the zoning ordinance, that would be the planning board, if you wanted to add some rules to say that it had to be maintained, or they had to do a waiver, for example, like with the Class 6 road ones, where they have to put in the deed that the town is not responsible for maintaining the cemetery, or maybe put something into the deed that says where the cemetery is located, you know, something like that, because they are supposed to, when the property sells, if you've read the regulation, it says they're supposed to record it into the deed, the location of the cemetery.
Yep.
So the new buyer knows where it is. And that was the discussion we were having with Brenda, is if we wanna make them do that ahead of time, so that we know it happened, so nobody buys a property with a cemetery on it and doesn't know it.
That's there, right.
Yeah,
Well, do you know if that's gonna be a grave for Abby Rockefeller or somebody else?
I'm not sure.
I mean, it's irrelevant, but it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
Question I'm gonna have, is that entire land going to Three Rivers, or is only part of the land going to Three Rivers?
Well, the Janeway property's already been transferred.
The whole property, including the
Well,
cemetery?
except for well, the whole property, but she gets to live in the house as long as she wants.
That's fine.
But then
But
when
my
she,
question would be, is Three Rivers happy with a cemetery being on their property?
I don't know, never asked.
I can't imagine they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know.
And there again, why would we're not here to represent Three Rivers either.
Right.
No.
Right, I mean, I get where you're coming from, Paul, like, I would just be worried about the town's liability, in a sense, but we don't have any regulations, the state has their rules, which
Right.
says refer back to the regulations, so.
So what I would suggest is that when you talk with people like that, make sure that they do the recording
Right,
in the deed, and make sure that they know that there's a maintenance issue, that they sort of have to think about that issue.
but there's no regulations that they gotta maintain it, but there's no regulations that we have to maintain it either.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, one of the things we might want to think about for the future is coming up with at least some basic town,
Yeah, this sort of home burial thing is not gonna go away.
no, it's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, it is.
But boy, in New Hampshire, there's a lot of them out there.
Oh, that's.
You know, it's a lot of them that are even conservation land. Most of it is usually, you know, where I call it go jeeping.
Yeah,
You know, so, you know, we don't wanna get over robust about it, we just.
Right.
I think we just wanna make sure the town's not, somebody doesn't come along and say, how come the town's not taking care of this cemetery out in the middle of nowhere?
right, exactly,
That's all.
exactly. So, that's what I would suggest, is just, when you talk with people, give them a heads up on
Okay.
maintenance issues. That the town,
Yeah, we're not gonna come in and mow
Town is not gonna-
mow their cemetery, okay? And we're not gonna weed it, we're not gonna cut the trees down.
okay. Item number 8, approval of draft minutes from last month.
I must commend you guys over the last month. I did see the video, and you did a very good job
Once we're all,
in denying what you don't know.
Yeah.
once we're all done and
Take a look.
adjourned,
Yeah.
unless we want to do it as part of the meeting, would like to hear from you about,
Yeah.
You can
just, it doesn't need to be part of the,
Well, I mean, I think Paul intended to bring it up at the meeting anyway.
oh, so we want to do minutes first?
Yeah,
And then do other business and
Yeah.
talk about that?
yeah, let's do the minutes. I think it's on,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Great. That was a short meeting.
It was a fairly short meeting.
This one's been a short meeting.
What?
I said this one's looking like it's gonna be a short meeting.
I know.
This is like a stop by compared to select board.
Well, we gotta get you home here.
Right, that's right, that's right. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary in that.
Yeah.
So I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting
As written?
as written.
I will second that motion. All in favor? Raise your
Aye.
hand.
I'm going to abstain because I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now maybe we can talk about what we were supposed to talk about last meeting, just for clarification. Right? It says Paul was gonna explain, but then Paul couldn't come.
Yeah, there's a, maybe you could talk to us about that driveway up
On 127.
on Battle Street, Timothy Wonderluck.
We went out to look at that and gave, Emmett and myself were both there at the meeting, along with Mr. Wunderlich,
Yep.
I believe, and, yeah, maybe he was the only one there. Anyway, we talked about it, and we asked a lot of questions. One of the problems they had from the lawyer for the lady next door, and I cannot tell you her name because I don't remember it. But anyway, she wanted to make sure that a certified surveyor had done the survey. We had a copy of the certified surveyor that did the property, and we had a copy of the original deed from many years ago. The boundary marker was in the proper place. They did the survey, and it's still in the same place. So as far as we were concerned, there was no problem with the boundary marker, even though the neighbors disagree. And they do not want to spend the money to get their own survey, so we signed the paperwork.
Okay.
Okay.
How about, in all that correspondence that we were sent, it said that the driveway isn't 10 feet from the property.
It is 10 feet from
It
the
is,
property line.
okay.
It is. It has to be, or we won't sign for it.
Yeah, okay.
At least 10 feet. Although we do have one in town that is a problem, but it's gonna be a problem forever, I guess. So we had all the information we needed to sign the paperwork and give him the okay to do it. Anything else from here on in that transpires as a problem goes between the two neighbors,
Yeah.
let them duke it out in court,
Okay.
without the town being involved.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, I was
Uh,
curious about
We
it.
may or we may not have another driveway problem. We'll talk about it next month.
Okay. Okey dokey. Is there any other business within the limitations of RSA 91A?
Jerry, did you have something you wanted to talk about?
I was here just out of curiosity about the proposed Austin subdivision. Looks like I wasted my time.
Sorry.
Well, no, you never waste your time when you come sit with us.
Or come just for old time's sake, huh?
That's right.
Well,
We don't know at this point what's going on with that, whether the elders have given the okay to move the land up, or if they want to stick where they are. It's gonna be very expensive for him to go into that wetlands. Very expensive. So that may not
I was
happen.
just curious about what the details are.
Yep.
This is the one on Pond Hill?
Yes.
The Austins have, as I'm sure you know, have owned a whole lot of property on the westerly side of Lake Winnipocket.
Yep.
For generations, not just decades.
Mm.
And as far as I'm concerned, they've also they've done that responsibly with respect for the environment and the land, and I don't know any reason why they shouldn't be allowed to use it. So I don't know the details.
At this point, we're also in the dark. All I can tell you is the meeting that Emmett and myself had with I don't think it was Austin, but one of the family members.
It was Tim Austin.
Was it Tim? Yeah. That's all, and we wrote a letter as he requested and put it in front of them, and it's up to them now.
That's right.
What did the letter say?
Should be in the packet. Unless I forgot to put it in there.
I believe it's in your packet, but
Oh, yeah, here it is.
I don't know if it's saying a whole lot.
I thought it's in your packet.
Yeah, it's right here.
You want me to read this out loud? It's very short.
Yeah, you can.
To whom it may concern, Paul King and Emmett Bean. We met with Tim Austin on April 14th regarding a conceptual consultation for the proposed driveway. The area being considered for future subdivision has a substantial amount of wetland. Further up the road toward the dead end, the property is substantially drier. It is our opinion that this section of land would be better for the siting of a driveway. This area would have a lesser impact on the wetland and would be better suited for the construction of a new home. If you have any further questions, please feel to contact Land Use Office, Russell Tatro.
Pretty straightforward.
So right now, they're only really looking for one driveway?
Yeah.
They're not even really looking
Yeah.
for a driveway at the moment. They're trying to plan out where they wanna do their subdivision, and all that'll come after. But one of the things the planning board also does for people is they do consultation. So if you're
Yeah.
about to go do a subdivision, they can come in and talk to the board about it and get a feel for it. And
So
so you don't use your money and then
Right.
the board says no.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we,
in this case, we would not say no to what they want to do, but it's going to be very expensive for him to go across them wetlands. So unless you
Yeah.
have deep pockets.
and we've done these preliminary consultations for other projects. and it works well. Any other business? Anybody want to make a motion
Make a motion, what, to adjourn?
to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it. All in favor, raise your hand.
Okay.
4-0.
That was
Short meeting.
a lot faster than I thought it was
Not a
gonna be.
record, but a short meeting.
Well, yeah, I mean, if